It's time to breathe again on the latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So it is good to be back. Of course, we took the week off last week, 4th of July week, and it's good to be back. So everybody, I got Patrick, got Stan. What's up, Stan? See, good to have you back.
Hello.
And we got a lot of topics to jump into, so let's get right to it. I guess we're kind of playing catch up, seeing how we didn't get on here last week. So let's start with the NBA Finals and get these picks on record. So you have the Phoenix Suns coming out of the Western Conference, and you have the Milwaukee Bucks. Or did I say that right? Okay. Phoenix Suns coming out of the Western Conference. And the Milwaukee Bucks coming out of the Eastern Conference. I see a really good matchup here. A lot of good storylines coming in here. I know a lot of people out there, they're upset because your big markets aren't in here. I don't care about any of that. I'm just a fan of basketball. I'm just trying to see a good matchup. So we will start with you, Stan. Give me your pick. Who you got, why, and how many games?
All right. So I'm like you, Charles. I'm a fan. I just want to see some good balls when it comes to, the finals, something unpredictable this year. Two teams that have been, pushing and finally got it to the stage. So kudos to them both. But for this series, I like the Suns. I like the Suns. I'm going with the Suns, and I'll tell you why. I know the whole season I've been against the Bucks, and I've been counting them out, and they've been hanging around. But I really think this is Chris Paul's chance, man. I think this is he feels it. He's hungry. I think this is his opportunity, and his team believes in him, and I think that's enough for them. I really do. I think it's enough. When it comes to playing that ball, the deep ball down the stretch, I think they have the guts. They did weather beat up Clippers the last round, but I mean, George Paul wasn't playing, man. He was giving them good business, and they had some other role players that were stepping up to the bat too. So I like them, and I say it's going to go 7 just because it's going to be some good ball. I think it's going to be 7, but I'm going to give the edge to the Suns in this one. I really think they're going to pull it out.
All right, sounds good. What do you have, Patrick?
Well, I agree with Stan.
Oh,
I have the Suns going too, but I have them for all of those reasons. But I do gotta say this. Chris Paul is on a tear right now. This is probably the best he's ever played in his entire career. So with him playing the way he's playing, and then superstar, you have a new superstar in the making right now in Devin Booker. He is freaking phenomenal. He is going to be here for a long time, and this is the Suns' time. And this will be hard for Milwaukee to beat this team. Personal opinion. And the hyperextended knee for Giannis, I do not think is going to help Milwaukee at all. Whether he plays or not, I have the Suns in 5.
Okay, so I'm on an island, I see. I got Milwaukee in 6. And I got Milwaukee in 6 because I think, all right, well, a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the injury to Giannis was a blessing in disguise. The reason why I say this is because all of a sudden you put Brook Lopez in the middle and he just tore up Atlanta. Now I get it. It is Atlanta. Atlanta has a good team, but they don't have a DeAndre Ayton in the middle like Phoenix does as well. So I get it. But what I think happened is I think Mike Budenholzer kind of figured some things out. He said, wait a minute, I don't have to depend on Giannis for everything. I got these other dudes. I got Chris Middleton who can step up. I got Drew Holiday who can step up. Brook Lopez can go in the middle. I can bring Bobby Portis off of the bench, who didn't see any time in the last 3 games in the Brooklyn Nets series. I couldn't understand that at all. But
I didn't either, honestly.
but I think that's kind of a blessing in disguise for Milwaukee to say, hey, I can extend the bench a little bit. I don't have to shorten the rotation. I can go ahead and put these guys in there, and I don't have to run everything through Giannis. I have people who can run offense for me too. Also, I look across the board. Milwaukee is bigger across the board on these teams. Drew Holiday's a big point guard, y'all. And I know Drew Holiday kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but he's one of the solid players in the league, and he goes about 6'4". I think he can give Chris Paul fits. And I know Chris Paul, he's been playing well. Don't get me wrong. He on a mission. But I think Drew Holiday can kind of neutralize him there. Middleton's a big guy. PJ Tucker is a big dude, and you know them 7-footers with Giannis and Brook Lopez. Now, of course, we'll see with the knee with Giannis. I know he was testing it out to see if he's going to give it a go. I felt like going in, he would come back in game 2 if he didn't come back in game 1. But either way, I mean, I think Milwaukee will take advantage of these matchups, and I got them in 6 games. And plus, I've been on the Milwaukee train the whole time, so I can't say.
Yeah, you have. You have.
So you're sticking with them for. I mean, don't get me wrong. All those reasons it's a good reason to stick with them. So no, Milwaukee in 6 sounds good.
So I'm gonna go on a little bit of a different route. I think you said it, and I'm stand on it. This is an opportunity, right, for both teams, because absolutely. I feel after coming off the whole COVID bubble this year as a kind of reset, next year with a lot of moves that are going to be coming down the pipeline, teams are going to start to get those ideal teams that they want. And not next year, but the year after, we're going to see somebody poised to run a dynasty, at least two championships, because it's been a while since we got a couple doubles. And I think we got one more year before we get back to that. So this year, one of these teams has got an opportunity. Next year, another team may have the opportunity. But after that, I think it's gonna swing back the other way, and these teams are going to be stacked again. It's going to be hard for teams with such talent to make it to the finals. That's just my take.
So you know what? On that stand, because I was actually going to ask a question about that. So in a year like this, where you have Phoenix and Milwaukee, now look, I think all 3 of us had those teams potentially being good, maybe getting to the conference semifinals, but then after that, it could have been a question mark. So with Phoenix and Milwaukee getting through, do you guys think this is just one of those abnormal years where any other year these 2 teams might get through? Or do you think, like you was talking about, Stan, do you think this is one of these things where a Phoenix or a Milwaukee can possibly get back to the finals next year or the year after? Do you think it's one of those just they got lucky because it was their year?
So I'll pose it like this, and I'm gonna say yes and no, because right, not everyone got that off season like they normally would, right? They kind of had a quick turnaround, get back into the season, get rolling again, press. So a lot of injuries came out of that. So people are unhealthy. But what do we have coming up the rest of the summer too? That people tend to kind of do both back to back. When we have an Olympic season, it's still kind of like you got some people kind of teetering on the edge about what they're going to do health-wise, right? So there's a little back and forth there. So that's why I say a whole nother year, because depending on what people do this off season and how the Olympic stuff goes, depending on what they do there, it's going to give us another year before we get back to normal. So this is their off season, but this is the time for them to step up, right? I mean, they all had the same amount of time at it, but they just chose to be the best right now.
What you think, Patrick?
I absolutely think it is one of those crazy years where, now I'm not going to say Phoenix and Milwaukee. Milwaukee has been knocking on the door for several years, even before COVID. Phoenix Atlanta, New York, these are the types of teams that I felt that if they were going to do it, this is their year. They have to do it in this year. You know, you're 10 games short of playing a regular season, Olympic year, like Stan's talking about. These are the type of things that gives these teams that don't have as much talent as the others the opportunity, because, you know, quick turnaround. This allows for the young teams like Atlanta, because Atlanta is one of the youngest teams in the entire league right now, with them starting 3 players that are less than 23 years old. You know what I mean? So this gives the young people the advantage over the older people, because you're running less games and it's quick turnaround and they can bounce back faster. So those type of teams, I think, is got the advantage in a season like this. But come next year, when Olympics is not playing, you're playing back to 82 games. Those are the type of season. Those are the type of games or the seasons that those younger people, you hope in, like Atlanta, Phoenix, Dallas. Who was the other one I said?
New York.
Dallas, New York. You hope that this gives them enough playoff experience so that they're ready to go next year. But no, I think this is a year that gives them the ability to do that, because of quick turnaround and Olympics and all that stuff. So I wouldn't expect to see Atlanta go that deep in a regular season. No.
Man, I guess it just depends on the team for me, because like Patrick said, Milwaukee been kind of knocking on the door for at least 3 years now. And they have the foundation all signed long term. Giannis, Holiday, and Middleton, they're all signed long term. So I would expect them to still kind of be in the mix. Atlanta, I love what they have. I mean, that young core like that, this experience they got, I think it's going to be really valuable to them. Bringing Nate McMillan back for a 4-year extension, or 4-year contract. I guess he was interim coach. But I just think with that core they have, I feel like I think they're going to be around for a little bit.
As long as they get a middleman.
Huh?
They need somebody. Brook Lopez quickly showed Atlanta they need somebody other than Capella in the middle. That's it. Atlanta relied on him way too much, and don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but you need somebody else that can help that load too.
Now, I was going to get to that, Patrick. You know how it goes. I get it. It's okay.
Come on.
Okay. But no, you're right though. I mean, yes, Atlanta's going to have to tune some things up, of course. But again, they were not expected to get to this point anyway. So now you got the experience of being in the playoffs with this young core. Trae Young, I think everybody was all about what Trae Young was doing. The one thing I'll say, two things I'll say about Trae Young is this. He has to get better defensively. And if there's going to be these comparisons with him and Steph Curry, we all know what Steph Curry does well. He moves around without the ball well. Trae Young gives the ball up, he chills. Like, he sits there. He doesn't go anywhere. So I think
mostly 35 feet away from the rim too.
You let those other playmakers, because I think Herter's a pretty good playmaker. Bogdanovich can make some plays. John Collins was pretty good as well. So if you can get those guys maybe to handle the ball a little bit more and have Trae Young kind of come off those screens, so he's not facing the Ben Simmons pressure, the Drew Holiday pressure up and down the court like you saw in the later parts of those series. So that's one thing I'll say about Atlanta. New York, same thing. They have to get some scoring. They struggle to score. And then Dallas, they have a lot of decisions they have to make. Now, if you guys did check out my article from yesterday, they made some curious hires. They brought in Jason Kidd as a head coach. Maybe not that curious. It's probably more of the splashy hire more than anything else. But the GM hire was the one that was interesting to me because this is a former Nike executive they brought in to be the GM. So that's based on relationships. His name's Nico Harrison. So this is based on the relationships. I guess he was Kobe Bryant's liaison when it came to the shoes. So I think what Mark Cuban is looking at there is to try to build on those relationships and potentially get some of your better players to come down to Dallas because of those relationships when it comes time for their contract extensions or whatever it is. We will see, because they do have an albatross of a contract in Kristaps Porzingis that they have to see what they can do with. But I mean, I think it is interesting, man. So what I'm going to say is I think Phoenix, Milwaukee, don't get me wrong. I know they have a great opportunity right now. Great opportunity. But their cores are strong and they're young. And because of that, I think they'll be factors. Now, do they get back to this point? That remains to be seen, because like Stan said, hey, if the Lakers try to soup up somebody, if the Nets try to soup up somebody, if whoever the other bigger teams are out there, and Golden State, if Golden State tries to soup up, try to get somebody to join the Splash Brothers and Draymond
Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers. It depends on what they do. But I think Phoenix and Milwaukee in particular, and Atlanta, I think their cores, they got some stuff they could build around. So I'm gonna lean on the side of, man, I think you got a little bit more parity coming.
I hope so. No, I hope it keeps it balanced. I hope these teams really take the opportunities to grow. Right, I'm with you. They do have some great cores, but we've seen it where, when Houston got to sneak in, they got theirs in. We'll talk about the Suns. When Charles Barkley was there, no chance of opportunity because the powerhouse team that he had to go through and meet. You know what I mean? So it's that type of feel, type of vibe. Yes, they can have solid teams, and they may run the playoffs for a bit. But when it comes to some of these other teams, man, if they stack and make right moves, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really hard. Healthy, right? We're talking about guys. A lot of these superstars were out. And it changed the playoff game. So it's going to be interesting to see. I will say that. It will be interesting to see. Yeah. I'm excited for it. It means some good ball. I know that.
Now, look, I'm going to say this. I'm not trying to take no shots on anybody, but I mean, Brooklyn got people who are always hurt anyway. The Lakers, Anthony Davis is always hurt. So, I mean, look,
and you're starting to see the fall. You're starting to see the fall of LeBron now. So,
yeah, you're getting older, man. And I think one thing about those injuries, Stan, there's been a lot of talk when it comes to this season being compressed, 72 games, and the Lakers and Heat in particular having 2 months to start. What I would say about a lot of those injuries is they were freak injuries. You had Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's always hurt, but he landed on the foot. He landed on the foot of Giannis. I mean, that's a freak thing. LeBron, he had some dude roll into his ankle. Actually, that was a game against the Hawks. It was Solomon Hill. The injury to James Harden. Now, that one, soft tissue injury, non-contact injury. Those are the injuries where you're like, man, wear and tear. He came in out of shape too. I mean, we saw him down in Houston. He was big as hell.
He was like Bartolo Colon coming out there. You know how we are about Bartolo Colon.
And Anthony Davis, he came in out of shape. And now I think his excuse was, hey, they just won the title. He was partying all the time. He really didn't care.
Hey, I was drunk.
Yeah,
I've been on that boat.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of those injuries were just kind of freak injuries, and when it really just turned into a war of attrition, man. And these two teams, Phoenix and Milwaukee, were just, I guess, the healthiest.
To make it. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. Some of the bigger ones towards the end there were freak injuries, but LeBron was suffering throughout the season. He had his struggles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other guys, they were back and forth when it came to the injuries and stuff. I mean, the Lakers limped into the playoffs. I thought they were going to be out. They limped into there, and then they did get eliminated. But you never know, right? Somebody could roll one time and it not affect you, and another time that could be it. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
So, sure. All right. Well, hey, Patrick, you have anything to add before we move on to this NIL? All right, let's get it. All right, let's get it. So last week, college athletics, they seen a pretty big shift here. So now these athletes can profit off of their name, image, and likeness.
Let's go.
I think it's open season too. I mean, you heard about some of these football players. They getting car dealership sponsorships. They getting car wash sponsorships, grocery store partnerships. They getting all kinds of partnerships going on. And if you are a booster or an agent or a shoe company, oh my gosh, man. What's to say some booster can't come out there and say, hey, man, look, you come to our school, man, you could be the face of my tech company. Like $10 million they could throw at him. So, I mean, it is wild. I just want to get y'all overall thoughts on this, starting with you this time, Patrick.
Well, you know how I feel. Hey, look, it's like this. If you're gonna throw money at them for name, image, and likeness, not giving you a scholarship. You're gonna pay for your schooling, because that's what it all boils down to. I'm not a huge fan of everybody getting paid to go to school like that, but I do like the fact that they are getting money for their likeness, because that is, to me, that is fair. What's the football game? NCAA football game. They should be paid for that. Absolutely. Because, I mean, to me, I think you should be able to put the name on the back of the jersey. So pay them for it. Absolutely. Now, those kind of things like that, that's outside of that would be outside of college, the college realm of being paid. But if somebody says, come up to my school, be the face of my math department, bro, we're paying you for that. You got to pay for your school. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be a line drawn to where how much these kids are going to be making, because they're going to make that a career. They're like, I'll play for Georgia 12 years if I need to. Come on.
Okay, so look, so on that, Patrick, on that,
so you have to have a line where these kids are like, you got to get out, bro. I mean, look, there is times where you're like, man, I wish this kid would play 4 years, but then it's all of a sudden you got what's the quarterback name for Tennessee? Guantanamo, whatever his name is. That kid has been up there for 6 years playing in Tennessee. He needs to go. Get out.
Guantanamo.
Whatever his name is.
So I have a question for you on that, Patrick. So I know you are not a big fan of the one and dones when they go to college or whatnot. So is there a way with this name, image, and likeness? Maybe they stay in school for a little bit longer, especially these cats who are not ready to go to the pros, but they going anyway because they're like, yo, man, I'm trying to get paid. I'm not trying to be in
my new house. No.
So do you see them staying there for maybe another year or whatnot because of this rule? Because now they can make money while they're in college.
Absolutely. So I like that part of it, because I really want to see these kids, if they're going to go to school and these schools are paying them to be there, show a little bit more loyalty. That's all I'm asking. Get that degree, man, because you just don't know how that's going to be in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. Get that degree and then move on. And so I'm a huge. I like the fact that they're getting paid, but just make sure there's a good line drawn where they get their degree. You need to get the hell out, go pro, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that it's done professionally. I do like the fact that they're getting paid for it, but make sure it's done professionally.
So the one thing I will say, Patrick, before you get Stan's view, I see Stan's like, yeah. But the NCAA, they really, it's not too much they can really do about it if it is one of those things where they are just keeping it to the car wash, to the grocery store or whatnot. Now, where it could get a little bit iffy, it just depends on that booster, because that booster is throwing in a lot of money into the school. That's where it could start to get a little bit iffy. And I don't know if these rules are necessarily touching the ones that the NCAA have in terms of impermissible benefits. But we'll see how that works out. I think this is one of those things that will evolve. Stan, what you got?
So, look, I honestly think it's a win, win, and win. And this is why, right? It's got to be structured right. I agree with Patrick on some of his comments. It's got to be structured right. It's not going to be but I think by nature, it's not going to be a free for all. Everybody's not going to get paid equal, right? If you got a 5-star coming in, they're not going to be getting the offers and paid, and it's just not going to work. It just doesn't work that way. So I think that'll kind of take care of itself. But if structured properly, the schools have the opportunity to get kids to stay there longer, like you said. If they like, hey, you're going to get paid now, right? They're not staying loyal, and they're leaving when because they're getting beat up, they're getting worked out, they're getting wore out, and they're like, hey man, before I get an injury, let me go try to get this check. That's what they're thinking, right? So yeah, school can be foregone in that point. Now, here is the opportunity to say, hey, yeah, we're going to pay you for the work you do while you're here, right? You just got to be here, right? And that comes just like an info. You got to be here. You got to show up. You got to meet these. School has always been a part of that for them, regardless of if they've got paid or not, right? So if you're going to school, you've had to make your grades. You had to stay. You had to do these things, right? So that's not going to go anywhere. You got to meet. You still got to meet those. So the schools have the ability there to really push to keep them around, right? If they do it and structure it right. But I'm all for it, man. Let the kids get paid. I think that if you go ahead and start paying them, it gives them opportunity to learn about that money management, hopefully early. You get some advisors in there, because when if they make it from the NFL or from college to the NFL, there's a gap, and not all of them. We've seen it. You watched them, where hey, I made it, and then all of a sudden I just blew all my money. People took my money, whatever. If they're in that school setting and money things are happening early on, hopefully they got people around them, coach staff, whoever, they can catch that then, and then they can be better prepared later on. So that's why I say that could be a win, right? And then the boosters, the schools, right? The boosters still stand to make a shit ton of money, regardless of how it goes, because that system, right, is still in place for them. That's not going anywhere, right? People are still going to be in it, they're going to be in the fence. The only thing that they're not going to be able to touch necessarily is people making money off their name, unless they work out some kind of deal, whatever on the side. But that's not going to hurt them. They're going to have kids trying to get to the best schools and still try to get paid. So it's not going to hurt them. They're still going to make money. So the only thing is they want to be able to control every aspect of the money, and they just won't be able to do that.
And another thing you get to look at for that, and I know you got something, Charles, but another thing you get to look at that, if you do structure this appropriately, this opens up, like say what I was saying, if it's an all-star coming in and he gets all of these deals working through, but yet he still has to pay for his college and he may not get full ride through a sports scholarship, it opens up, this school can offer out more scholarships now. They have more money for that. But the beautiful thing about this all is that these lower schools now have an opportunity and a driving force to pull better athletes to their schools now. So I mean, you get a school that's in a great area for athletes, but they're not that good of a school because you're not always competing for a championship. Now you got something that drives them there now because everybody's making money now.
Sure. I'm with Stan. I'm like, I think it's a win-win too. I am. I'm so serious. I've been waiting for something like this to pop up. It's about time. I mean, the NCAA been profiting off these dudes' backs for so long. It's ridiculous. And Patrick, I'm gonna go to you on this because I've been in agreement with me to say the NCAA is as corrupt as anybody else out there. You've been the main one saying, hey, you know what? They're as corrupt as the IOC, they're as corrupt as FIFA and the IRS. So here it is. Yeah, so now that these players are starting to get a little bit of money, I'm all for it. But I do have this question for y'all. The Alabamas of the world, you kind of touched on it already, Patrick, but the Alabama or Ohio State, Clemson, your big name schools that are always in the college football playoff. And then in basketball, you got Kentucky, normally there, North Carolina, all those schools. So this name, image, and likeness, does it benefit more a school that is pretty much the center of a town or a school that is closer to a bigger city where there's more opportunities there to catch a cut?
I mean, I think it benefits all of them because now you're looking at even these lesser named cities that are just surrounded by the school. Like the school now gets to say, well, for me to push this, let's just say a grocery store deal. Now they're like, he's the name of this. Now he becomes the name of that. He starts getting to get the feel of all of that fame. So I think it works for everybody because at the point of him moving to that school or that little town, they're going to drive people to want to be there. And if somebody big goes to a small town, now all of a sudden this small town now becomes looked at, and everybody's starting to see it. And like the whole NIL thing, I think is a great thing for everybody because it's going to push people to smaller schools that may not have a chance for a championship. Now they got 2 or 3 people here, and they're starting to compete with your Kentuckys or your whoever's that are good schools because they're able to give money to them now. But it's got to be structured right. It's got to be structured right.
100%. I agree with you, Pat. I think that it is small towns because you got to look at it like that. There's a lot of kids that go to these big schools, but they want to be home, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them like, hey, I got to go. I have to go to this big school so I can get this exposure, so I can get out of here, come back later on, make it to the league, and then help my family, whatever. But now, right, there is an opportunity to be home, closer to home, still making some money, still able to go to school, right? And who knows after that, right? Who knows with that? You're still doing something. And if you make good deals and partnerships, you're a hometown boy, girl, whatever, you're writing the checks. It's another win because, everybody, especially when you get these little hometown places, they love those local boys and girls staying home and coming home and being a part of the mix and, propping them up. So, I mean, it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of start really making some ends.
So I got a smile on my face because, Stan, you brought up keeping some of that homegrown talent. Hell, if Texas could keep some of that homegrown talent, I couldn't help it. I'm sitting here.
Right.
Hey, if Georgia can keep that homegrown talent in baseball, dude, we'd be fine too. I mean, when you look at
Patrick, want to throw Georgia in there. You don't want to get left out. I hear you, Patrick. I got you, Patrick.
I know how you feel, man, because I'm sitting here watching Tennessee take all Georgia players, and sitting here watching Vanderbilt take all Georgia players, and Georgia like nitpicking from all the other states because all the other Georgia boys are going to another school, and I'm like,
I hear you, man, because I know with us, man, I mean, we have, and Stan, I know you know this too, man, we got 5-star quarterbacks going to Ohio State, decommitting from us, going to Ohio State. Good players going to Alabama, thriving, just balling out of camp. Yeah. So when you would stand pointing that out, that's why I just had a big smile on my face because I'm just like, ooh, if he doesn't mention Texas, I will. So
you know where it goes back to.
Goodness.
When I talk about home, you know where it goes back to. No.
Yes, those deep roots. I'm with you on that, Stan. Man, well, on that note, Reggie Bush. So Reggie Bush thinks he should get his Heisman back. Am I wrong for laughing at that right away?
You didn't even get it all the way out, Charles.
I'm sorry, man, because he came out and he said I should get my Heisman back after this new name, image, and likeness rule went into effect. He said, you know what? If they could get paid, then I should get my Heisman back.
Okay. Now I got 2 questions.
Yes.
I got Leonard Fournette, AJ Green. What are we going to do about that then?
So they should get their money back for a game.
Right. That's what he need to do. God.
This ain't retroactive, man. He needs to calm down.
Yeah. Man, I mean, you know what? I just wanted to bring it up, man, because I know it was just kind of in relation to this NIL rule that came out, and Bush is over here trying to relate that to his Heisman. I mean,
100 years ago.
I mean, yeah, this is like 2005, 2006.
He's still having dreams about it. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You want that legacy to get restored. I got you. Now, all right. So I will ask y'all one more question before we move on. If these new rules, because this is an interesting conversation I had with my dad the other day. If these rules were in place, let's say going back to 2005. Yeah, we'll go with 2005 when Reggie Bush was playing. What athlete do y'all think would have just made bags? Just like out of all the athletes that came through, which ones do y'all think might make bags? I'm thinking Tim Tebow myself.
Yeah, I was going to say him. I was going to say him, Vince.
Right. Oh, Vince. Oh my God. Yes, Vince Young.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, those two right there would have been
off the top.
Those two would have been paid.
Vince Young would have been on rap songs. You know, the chopped.
Oh yeah. Vince Young.
The chopped and screwed era down here in Texas. Oh, boy, Mike Jones, Paul Wall, they would have been all over the place.
Yeah.
And even with Reggie,
he would have had a Vince Young grill.
Yeah, yeah. And even with Reggie Bush, man, out there in USC, because at that time there was no NFL team in LA.
Yeah.
So all your stars, Snoop Dogg, Will Ferrell, all of them were coming to the USC games.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so Reggie Bush would have made a bag too. But I mean, I just thought that was just an interesting conversation I was having with my dad. Like, man, who would have profited big time off that? Obviously, Johnny Manziel, he's another one who probably would have got loose too.
Yeah.
Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford, I think would have got some. Probably AJ Green would have got some.
Would have got paid.
Julio Jones probably gets paid.
Julio Jones would have been definitely got paid.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette would have been paid.
Cam Newton would have been paid.
Newton would have been paid. I mean, dude, that list would go on and on and on who would have got paid. But who would have profited the most? That would be hard. I'd probably say I'd either say Reggie Bush or Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel would have, like, he's wild anyway. You know what I mean? So one of those two would have done a couple of mil easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Johnny Manziel been signing everything. You gonna pay me how much?
Don't forget about Ricky though, man.
What's that?
Don't forget about Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky Williams. Yeah,
Williams.
I mean, he would have got a bag too. I like a lot of dudes, man, who would have got loose. I just wanted to bring that up to y'all, man, because my dad and I, we just got to talking about it, and he just told me, he said, could you imagine if this rule kicked in around that time, that 2005, 2006, and that's where he went, was Vince Young, because Vince Young down here in Texas, like I said, it was chopped and screwed era going on. He would have been in all kind of rap songs. He would have been all over the place.
And NCAA football was huge. So people playing that, standing in lines at midnight to get the game. Like, man, you know how much money that these kids would have got shelled out?
Yes.
Like you say, hey, you had to be this level of whatever player to get, so many dollars. Man, whew.
Put that on the tiered system.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how your ranking is, based on that is how much you get paid.
Absolutely.
Because these kids, even adults, man, they were talking like, oh man, I'm gonna pick Ohio State because they got this running back and that running back, and they got this quarterback and blah blah blah. And now you get to trade. You know what I'm saying? It would have been crazy, man.
Yeah,
it would have been crazy. And every time my name gets used on a create a player, you get X amount of dollars for that.
Yep.
And they would have too, man. I would have been like, look, man, anytime brackets on the back of a jersey, I don't give crackers to create a player. I want
my dollar.
My number, especially, I want to be doubled.
Oh my goodness. You right though. Yeah. I mean, it's just so many ways they can make money to go ahead and profit off of this. And like I said, man, I am all about it. I'm really interested to see how all this materializes as the years go on through.
Gotta structure it right though.
Yes.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna throw this out here and we can move on. I do not doubt one bit a corrupt NCAA is going to find a way to taxation out the shit out of them, and it freaking sucks, man. I wish the NCAA would get their crap together. I do not like to. They will find a way to tax it. They will find a way to take money. They will find a way to do anything and everything they can possibly do to limit those kids with that NIL.
They should. It's the school, man. It's up to the school. Like they got to stay out of it, because now you got these schools saying, "Hey, we got these sponsors lined up. Come to my school."
The school has got to protect the kids.
That's what I'm saying. Like they can't let NCAA get in there anymore. They can't, right? If they want to get these kids and bring them in or keep them home, whatever they want to do, and they say, "Hey, we got these sponsors lined up. This is what you can come here, and this is what we can offer you, school, whatever, however they work it out." You know what I mean? What do you want?
Got more power than they should have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I agree with you, Stan. This is how the school should be. The school should be protecting these kids, but you know, as soon as they say, "Well, if you don't follow my rules, you're not part of the NCAA." Whoa! How are you going to justify that? NCAA got some. NCAA, as corrupt as they are, when you have the IRS, the IOC, FIFA, they got good lawyers. They got good lawyers and they're corrupt, and you know it. I can't stand them.
Something tells me we will be coming back to this topic soon to see how everything's, especially with football season coming along. Woo, boy, to see how things materialize.
Schools protect them, structure it right. We'll be good.
Yeah,
and try to keep the NCAA out of it.
Well, hey y'all, let's jump on a little bit of baseball here. So I wanted to do this real quick because it is the halfway point, or in essence, the halfway point. All-Star game is next week, I think. And you have the Boston Red Sox have the best record in the league right now. Is Boston, and well, I guess they're mathematically tied with the San Francisco Giants record-wise. I don't know if the Red Sox are like percentage points ahead, but they basically got the same record.
They got the same record, but the Giants are statistically 3 points.
Like percentage points. Yeah, percentage points. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll give the Giants the nod. Well, I'm surprised at this point because I felt like the Red Sox would be decent. I didn't see them, or the Giants for that matter, having the best record in the league right now. So
I didn't either.
So Patrick, since you're the baseball man here, you the baseball expert, everything to do. Tell me what sticks out here to it. Is it the play of the Red Sox and the Giants? Is it the emergence of Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing, even though he's on a garbage team, but he's doing great things? Just saying, I just wanted to throw that in there. And or is it a sticky gate? Is it?
Dude, honestly, I don't know, man. This whole season has thrown me. I didn't expect Boston to be this good, but they are. I didn't expect San Francisco to be this good, but they are. I don't know if it's really Boston playing as well as they are, or the lack of the teams they're playing. I don't know that yet. It's been a really weird season because everybody that, when me and you did our picks, most of the teams we picked, not even in it right now. And could that change? Probably. But I didn't expect Boston to be where they're at. If I was to say anything, Boston's pitch, these teams that are doing well, it's because their pitching is not great. It's the lack of bats in the league. And it's because this pool league, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you're still trying to pull, and the whole shift field, it's just the way they're playing, they're strategically playing these people to their weakness. And if you got a pull hitter like Freeman or Harper or somebody like that who will not go opposite field, then they're struggling because their batting averages are low because they're constantly trying to pull, and the pitchers are still complaining that they're trying to pull, but they won't pitch outside to make them go opposite field or whatever. So these teams that are doing really well, like Red Sox, Tampa, Chicago, we kind of felt would do good anyway, in Cleveland. Houston, we felt would do well, but Mets, who would have thought the Mets would be in first place at this point right now? Milwaukee, we kind of felt would do good, but the Giants, we didn't think that they would be this good at this point in the season. But they're doing what the pitchers are giving them. They're going opposite field, and they're doing what they need to do to win games. So, I mean, other teams need to take note of what these teams are doing and do what they're doing. So that's my take on it. It's really simple, and I don't understand why they're making it so complicated. I'm sitting here going, like Atlanta. Atlanta is 41-43. We expected this team to be tons better than what they are, but here they are pulling the ball. Philadelphia pulling the ball. Miami pulling the ball. Milwaukee, they're actually going opposite field, but then you got the Reds, Cubs, Cardinals, and Pirates pulling the ball. San Francisco, opposite field. Dodgers, depending on how they feel. But then Padres, opposite, are pulling the ball. Rockies pulling the ball. Diamondbacks pulling the ball. And they're striking out more. I mean, I even did a shorty on this saying that the strikeouts are like crazy high compared to even last season. They've already broke the record. They already broke the record in strikeouts already. They've already broke the record in no-hitters already. They've already broke. I mean, there's just so many things that I'm just sitting here going, I don't even know.
So Stan, with Patrick and what he was just saying about the strikeouts and stuff. Now, do you attribute that to just declining numbers altogether, or did the sticky baseballs and these pitchers getting over the pitch? Do you think that had more to do with it than just the downward spiral? Because I think it was a downward spiral, but I do think some the sticky gate that's going on, I think that might have had something to do with it too.
Oh, it has a little bit.
The stickiness. I mean, you can only blame so much, man. Like, this is a game these cats have been playing their whole life. Yes. You can only blame so much. You can only blame, outside factors only so much. It's baseball. Like he said, it's simple. Do what the other people doing. You got to hit, right? Regardless of what's going on, you still got to get out there and hit, right? You still got to feel. You still got to play the game of baseball. So you can call it what you want. You can blame it on this and blame it on that. But at the end of the day,
sticky gate.
You can call it sticky. Yeah, it can be sticky gate. It can be whatever you want, man.
Tom Brady.
You mean to tell me
right now, Charles?
Hey, everything is a gate. So that's what we go with.
So you mean to tell me that pitching is, gotten that much better where they're at the strikeouts record already that, that's just where we are. We just got freaking outstanding pitchers that are just freaking closing out games and just doing their damn thing and nobody can hit. I don't know about that, man.
Well, still, check this percentage out. And I checked it. I only done this because I normally don't do my homework when I come on to the show.
He doesn't either. Yes, this is
but true. I did do this because he did mention baseball, and I knew I kind of had a feeling where Charles was going to go with this. Check this out. As a statistic, last year, 23% was the strikeout rate. Last year. This year, 37%. It's insane. The pitchers are not this much better.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, for the little I know about baseball, and I get here and there, you can't tell me that in one season that these pitchers then came out and just all of a sudden just became the most miraculous pitchers that we've ever seen in baseball history. I'm not there. I'm not
either. I'm not either. I'm watching this batter. They're literally putting 9 people, or they're putting 8 people. If it's a right-handed batter, they're putting 8 people on the left field. People on left field. And they're like, and the batter's like, oh, I swear to God, I'm gonna beat all 8 of them.
Yeah.
Bro, go right field.
Hey, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because Patrick said, "Wait a minute, right-handed. Go ahead, third." Yeah. You had to make sure you got your directions right.
I had to get my directions right. The only way I know my directions, I got to put my bat. I got to put my bat up.
I'm sorry.
Come on now.
Sorry.
I mean, it irritates me so bad when I'm sitting here going, everybody is on this side of the field. I mean, literally, they're in a line, zigzag.
We're in a challenge culture, man, and they're just taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
People see these challenges. Oh, it's a new challenge. Let's go. I got them.
Bro, 8 people. Okay. I mean, literally, the catcher is out there in left field.
and
we're playing a shift. I need the catcher out in left field.
Oh man.
And a lot of people want to blame analytics. And look, analytics, it's a fancy word for statistics. So the statistics have been along for a long time. You have to look at the people who are interpreting these numbers and trying to teach it that way. The uppercut swing, the launch angle, spin rate when it comes to a pitch.
Spin rate.
And so I think you're making up terms basically. And so now these batters are coming up here and they're being told home run or strikeout. And I remember back in the day,
and they're buying it. They're like, oh, that's all I got. Well, not knowing that Betts literally has a 367 batting average because he goes opposite field. Just saying.
And I remember back in the day, if you struck out, you was mad about that. I mean, the batters back then, if it was Tony Gwynn, King Griffey Jr., going back Cal Ripken, all these other cats. Yeah, and I know I'm forgetting a whole bunch of cats, but I'm just kind of saying that just for the who?
Bo Jackson.
Yeah, even Bo Jackson.
Nobody's got worse attitude than Bo Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, some of these cats, Barry Bonds, some of these cats who were out here in the 90s, especially. Not trying to date ourselves. We still young. It don't matter. But
young and sexy.
But those cats were mad if they struck out.
Yeah.
Now, like, well, I struck out. That's one of 100 I'm gonna have in the next 2 months. So it really don't matter. You see so many 0 for 4 nights with 3 strikeouts. It's ridiculous. It's
and
crazy.
They're getting paid more.
Yeah,
more. Yeah. Exactly.
They do have the union for Major League Baseball is probably the most powerful union in the sports organizations, and I say that because they got it to where there's no salary cap for them. So I mean, they sign these deals, it is all coming to you.
Yeah,
and so. But I think, man, baseball, it's hurting, man. And there's going to be, I mean, the deal expires after this year. The minor leagues are in major trouble too. I mean, it's not looking good for baseball, man. And they're so far apart on everything. It really, I don't see how they're going to have a deal. But we'll see. Deadlines make deals. But
this is baseball.
Yeah, it's true. We might go on a strike.
Another deadline that baseball has met.
Yeah, we might go on a strike.
They go on a strike. I am full suspect they are going on a strike. And I told you this earlier, man. Like this season has been one of those weird seasons where even I cannot sit down and watch through an entire game because I'm like I will pull it up and I'll watch a game. I was watching the Cubs game last week, and I made it through 3 innings before I turned it off. And whoever they were playing, I can't remember who they were playing against, but they had already had 6 strikeouts in 3 innings, dude. 6 strikeouts in 3 innings, and I was like,
"What are we doing?
What are y'all doing?" and literally, it was uppercut swing because there's another saying, what is it? Elevate to celebrate. Come on,
tell you, man.
Launch angle, man.
Launch angle, dude. I can see. I seriously see him out there with a freaking ruler.
Practice
okay. There you go. maybe I misjudged the half an inch. Let's try it again. Strike 3. Okay, well, I'm gonna sit back down again. It's so dumb because I mean it's like these pitchers are not, like Stan was saying, these pitchers are not this good. They're not. The batters are making them look better than they really are.
Well, all right, man. Well, before we get on up out of here, man, I wanted to talk about the Olympics because the Olympics are coming up, but I don't feel the excitement around these Olympics that I did for, either the ones back in 2012 in London or the ones in 2016 in Rio. Look. Tell me if I'm wrong. I want to get excited. I do. Like I'm all about the Olympics, and I'm gonna watch the Olympics. But are y'all feeling hyped about the Olympics at all? Hell, Patrick, you know what? I was
this is Summer Olympics, and I look towards the USA baseball team, and I'm not.
Patrick, I was actually going to ask you this before we came onto the air. I was like, Patrick, do you even know the Olympics are coming on up?
I do. Yes, I do. Because I'm usually excited about baseball, and I'm not. I actually am a little bit more than I would be for like MLB because I do want to see the other countries play. Especially like Venezuela. I want to see them play, and I want to see Japan. I want to see them play. But other than that, man, I'm really not like super stoked about watching baseball, even in that. I think USA is going to get put out pretty quickly, personally.
Yeah,
they're looking for this Grand Slam thing, man, and Tokyo's going to be like, or Japan's going to be like, oh, give me gap, pow. And they're going to take advantage of that, and USA is going to be like, well, dang, it's like 9-0 in the bottom of the first, bro. What happened? With 20 strikeouts. There's only 20 strikeouts. That's only been 1 inning.
What you got, Stan? What you got? Patrick's getting on a rant stage right now.
Y'all better get me off of this because I'm about to go balls out.
What you got, Stan? What you got?
So, man, like I think what it is we've been on this cycle for the Olympics for forever, right? Like it's kind of in your natural state rhythm. Oh, this is when the Olympics is supposed to be. And you get hyped and you got that time and it builds up and it goes. Now it was kind of like, oh, they rescheduled for this year. The Olympics is this year? Oh, it's happening? Oh. So it's kind of like, I get it. I want to be excited. But the lead in, we're out of our rhythm. You know what I mean? It feels like they're trying to rush to get this one done so they can move on to the next one, but we're just out of our rhythm because we missed last year. And it's weird. It's just weird. I love the Olympics. I'm a fan. Like we're gonna be watching it. But it does feel weird because usually you're tracking everything. You're seeing who's gonna make the cut, who's making the teams, who's doing what. Even all the the qualifying up into this, man, people will be tuned in to see who's doing what and who's looking good, who's in shape. But it's kind of been like, oh, the Olympics is coming up. I had to look and Google it again today. I was like, when does that start again? That's for real. That's for real. There's no lie. I'm like, I know it's coming. Is it next week, the week after? But no, I don't know. It's different.
I'm totally with you. I mean, I love the track and field. I've always liked watching the track and field, basketball, of course. I mean, those are the main things I watch in the Olympics. I take a look at the gymnastics as well to see how. I mean, I guess I've been watching them since who was it, Dominique Dawes, when she was in it back in the day. And then, of course, you got Simone Biles doing her thing out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. I guess maybe it is that whole just off kilter thing. And I know myself, while I'm over here talking about Patrick knowing whether or not the Olympics are coming, shoot, I just was flipping through the channels and I saw the Olympic trials were on. Like, oh yeah.
That's the Olympics is different.
Surprisingly, the one that knew it was coming was me.
Yeah.
Normally, I wouldn't know that. That's the reason why
me and my wife were going back and forth about it. We're like, no. She's like, no. I was like, I'm telling you, they rescheduled for like, no, it's not. This is an odd year. I'm like, I'm telling you, Olympics is just going to be this year. And then sure enough, I was right. But
yeah. well, sure enough, right?
Oh man. Well, hey y'all, on that note, that will wrap up this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So everybody make sure they visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Patrick, are you doing a shorty this week or no?
Yes.
You are.
Don't know what it's about.
Okay. That's fine. End of the week. It'll be all right, man.
Yeah, it'll probably be Friday because I do not know what I'm going to talk about. And I've been looking through and I cannot find anything that is just like, I mean, I thought about talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs winning College World Series because, man, was I wrong on that one, bro. I didn't have little my ass, bro. That was like a lot. I was dead wrong on Mississippi State, bro.
Oh man. Well, so everybody look forward to Patrick Shorty, which whatever he does, just look forward to it. It'll be coming to you guys. Stan, once again, man, thanks for getting on here with us and talking. This was fun. And so
man.
Yeah.
Always.
So everybody take care. Stay tuned to some new things coming up with this webcast. I know I've been talking about it, but I'm finally getting the chance to work on it. So hopefully we can get those things out to you soon. Until then, everybody take care. Have a good rest of the week.